everyone. Welcome back to Mom Millennials. We're here today with Joy Acaso from Parenting in Perspective. And I'm so excited to have her with us because she's awesome, number one. And number two, she's here to talk to us on a very critical, important issue that I'm really trying to bring some light into, and that is postpartum depression and anxiety. And she has been working as a licensed clinical social worker for the past 20 years, helping families, really build relationships, better relationships with their children. So I'm really excited to have you with us here, Joy.
Hi.
You want to say?
Thank you for having me. You're awesome.
Thank you. So I'm so glad you're here with us today because part of having you here is because I know you deal with women who are suffering with depression and anxiety, specifically moms. So I really want to, talk to someone who's been working in the field and has firsthand experience helping moms through these tough times. What do you think? So what is postpartum depression? Let's just start there.
Okay. Yes. So postpartum depression is actually more common than we think and than we give it credit. Apparently there are 3 million women in the United States that are affected by postpartum depression. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yes, and the ratio is like 1 in 7. 1 in 7 women experience postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety.
Wow.
So, yeah, and it's very specific. It's very specific because it is linked to motherhood. So that's how it is different from regular depression, from regular anxiety, is because there is that inability to connect with your children. So one doctor kind of defined it, Dr. Catherine Weisner, and she said that it's the inability to access joy or happiness for the time that you need it the most. So you've just gotten a new baby, right? It's supposed to be a wonderful time. It's for you and your family. It's supposed to be, this gift of new life. But the connection is not, and the bonding is not happening. And so, which we recognize that it might not happen right away, but what happens in postpartum depression is that it lingers and lingers, and then it prolongs and it stays there. So, yeah, and that's what happens with postpartum depression.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because a lot of people ask. Even my question was like, what is the difference, between regular depression? But it makes so much sense. It does. I think it's triggered by the moment like that it's triggered by motherhood basically, and especially, and that's such a good definition. It's like the inability to find joy in the moments that it should be, right?
Right.
And that actually clarifies it a lot because you see a lot of definition of postpartum depression and they're mostly just symptoms of it, not so much. That's a really good definition, so thank you for sharing with us.
Yes.
So yeah, so I know you've been working with women for a while, and what do you think is the biggest, what do you think is the biggest symptom that they mostly showcase when they come to you and they realize that there's something happening?
Right. Oh, that's a good question. There's a lot of factors like irritability, which is also a sign of depression and anxiety, and getting upset with the little things, but then more than regular. Because, I mean, obviously we all get upset at some point, but with this one is, it's almost like a regular thing that, like, again, you don't find joy in the little things anymore. So there's irritability, decreased interest in pleasurable activities. So things that used to bring you happiness or excitement aren't anymore. Like you drink your cup of coffee and it's like, oh, just regular thing. Or you go out with your family and it's like, you'd rather be home. When as before, you'd be the one to plan it. You'd be the one to choose where to go. Now it's like, no, let's just stay home.
Wow. No, and you know, that also brings me to my next question of, so all these things that obviously changed, because it's really hard to
Mhm.
tell the difference, right? I mean, you just gave birth, you're exhausted, you're definitely not going to be planning anything, you're definitely not going to be enjoying much. So how do you come to the definite, like the difference? How do you define that difference? Because for me, I would have said, okay, I'm exhausted. I'm not planning anything. I don't enjoy coffee. My coffee's cold half the time because I can't make
Right
coffee.
here.
Right? Like, um, so how do you say, okay, maybe I'm just exhausted, or maybe I'm just actually experiencing depression, postpartum depression? You know, how do you, like, at what point do you differentiate? Is there a timeline? Um, you know, I'm really trying to get to that
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's such a like gray area
it
sometimes
is.
to really know, right?
Right. There is a very thin line between postpartum depression and depression. So there's also a big, like a huge number of women who are, they go undiagnosed for depression or anxiety. So I've had clients, I've worked with women who were like, oh, I feel like I've had this all my life, but are now just seeking help in their 20s and their 30s, some of them in their 40s. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, so I've felt different since I was in middle school. I just didn't know what it was. And so now I'm here. But with postpartum depression, like really the turning point is having that baby.
And it
So
could even
you're,
just increase the symptoms, right? Especially if someone who
oh,
maybe
yes,
had depression and didn't even know and was undiagnosed, or was diagnosed, but at least if they're not diagnosed, they're prepared. They're like, okay, I know most likely I'm going to experience this. But if they're undiagnosed,
right.
it probably aggravates the symptoms, and it's like, oh no, you can't put this off any longer, because now it's like very blunt in your face in the way it's showing itself, right?
Right, right. And you had brought up a good point too. Like, is it just mere exhaustion or, am I really having PPD? Well, one of the things is that if you are exhausted, you can rejuvenate. Like you can, you take that nap, you take a, you can say to another adult in your house or your spouse, your partner, you can say, "Can you take over? I'm just gonna, rest for a little bit." And you actually feel recharged. But if you don't feel that recharge and that you're just exhausted all the time, not just physically, but also mentally, um, then that is postpartum depression. So, it's not just like mere exhaustion anymore. If you feel like you've tried everything and it's still there.
That makes sense. Yes, yes. Because it's like, it's a tiredness that sleep cannot help you overcome.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a very good way of knowing the difference. It's like you've tried a lot of things. You've tried, maybe taking that break that you want. You're like, oh, I just need a break. And then you take the break and you're like, oh, actually, it's not that. I'm still, yeah, no. And you know what? I'm so excited because we get to pick your brain and really your experience with moms. So guys, this
Absolutely.
is just the beginning. We're going to be talking about on our Q&A with Joy. We're going to be talking about the difference between baby blues and postpartum depression, because I know I experienced baby blues, and it was kind of
Mhm.
like, I was kind of thinking, is this depression? Is this not? But I was able to figure out that it was just the baby blues at the beginning. So I think it's very important to know the difference.
Yes.
Also, she's creating some resources for us, which I'm really excited. It's called Embracing
Mm.
Motherhood. It's for stress management, and that is awesome. I think part of being prepared for motherhood is knowing how we can best manage our stress to even de-escalate the situation of maybe trying to avoid that sort of depression,
I
and
like that word, de-escalate.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm so happy to have you with us, Joy.
Thank you.
For our Q&A, it's going to be December 5th, guys. She's going to be with us. You're more than welcome to join us. Bring your questions. Let's talk about your experience. If you feel that you want to be anonymous, you do not have to go on camera. You can join us by just audio. So feel free to join us by audio and ask questions or send questions my way
Oh,
through
that's right.
private message, because I do want to use this time to really dig in and help you guys find solutions, and really just share our stories, right?
Right.
It's so important for other moms to know that they're not alone. You can have some symptoms, or you can have tons of symptoms that are very obvious, or you can have ones that are very, not that obvious, and you doubt yourself, like everything, right? Oh no, this is not what I'm experiencing. So guys, join us. This is something I'm really passionate about, and Joy as well. Let's share our stories. Let's use this
Yes.
time to really come forward and tell our truth, so that our truths can impact other moms, you know?
And
Um,
no holds barred. In the Q&A, you can say what it's a be candid, anything goes. Just like, in the Momillennials group, you say like, this is a space where you can say anything you want and you won't be judged. Q&A is that too.
Definitely. So feel
Anything.
free. We can make accommodations. Like I said, we can make you anonymous through our
Mm-hmm.
video, so you don't have to show your face. Because to me, it's really about, any little step you take forward to that we can help you take that step forward. I want to help you guys, and I know Joy is amazing at what she does. So check her out. I will post her page below this video. It's Parenting in Perspective, and check out what she does. And she will, and for the Q&A, she'll also have the motherhood, embracing motherhood, stress management tool for us. So I'm so excited, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, Joy.
Thank
Such a
you.
pleasure. It's like I can go on about this topic forever, but I just want to the details for when we have the Q&A. And this is going to be part of the First Time Mama Starter course, because I want moms to be aware of the resources available for them, So yeah, thank you. Anything you want to say before we go?
Yes. So just a little sneak peek of, again, for the Q&A, make sure that you bring in all of your questions, your friends' questions, your family's questions, anything goes. And just like I want you to kind of let these words marinate, and think through this, in preparation for a Q&A. Your feelings are not a reflection of who you are, and your feelings are not a reflection of your motherhood. So, and we'll dive in deep, which is connected to postpartum depression.
Wow, thank you so much, Joy. Wow, it touched me. That honestly, and that is so important, because to to even say that, because sometimes we think that our feelings represent who we are as moms,
Uh,
and everything we do, but and even for women that are just dealing with their day to day, if you had a bad day today, it doesn't mean that you're a bad mom, that you're doing things wrong.
exactly. Right.
So thank you so much, and guys,
Thank
please
you.
really think about this. And I am so excited for this Q&A. It's going to be awesome. So yes, invite the neighborhood. Come with all your questions, guys, because we're really gonna dive in, and
Yes.
it's awesome. So thank you, guys. Lots of love.
Thank you.